What's going on? This is your favorite speaker, Britton Harvest. Hashtag breadcrumbs. Hashtag random acts of kindness, RAK. Hashtag rack motivation. I was sitting here all day long when I was kicking it with my son because, I've been doing studying all day long. Like ever since I resigned, that's all I've been doing was studying. And I've been learning a lot about myself. And I decided to do this video because I want you all to understand something. So many times in life, we have had an idea that this is something that you wanted to do. We had an idea of there was something great that we felt as though we should have been doing. But because we didn't realize what it was going to take to get there, we decided to put that thought on the back burner. And when you put that thought on the back burner, you feel as though you're saying to yourself, all right, now I got to figure out every step of the way. And until I figure out every step of the way, then I'm just not going to pursue that thought. Well, what you fail to realize is this. When you have a thought and that thought is not followed up with action, that thought is just simply a thought. And when you have a thought and it's not followed up with action, that thought sooner or later gets put into the memory bank, or it gets put into your subconscious mind, or it gets buried under all the other things that have been going on in your life ever since that thought first manifested. Now you don't even realize what that thought was about. You see, there are thinkers and there are doers. And if you are a thinker, kudos to you. You can think about all the most extravagant ideas in the world. I got a sister who watches HGTV every day, all day long. But guess what? Until that thought is put into action and you go from a thinker to a doer, nothing gets accomplished. Nothing gets done because you don't even understand the ins and outs of what it's going to take to get there. And it's not going to be laid out to you beforehand. You actually got to step into the fire in order for you to realize what it is that you need to do. Now, that leads to the title of this video. When you sit back and you try to think everything out, and before you decide to take action, you want to sit up here and say, all right, well, this is how this is going to be. This is how this is going to be. And I know when I do this, this is going to happen. And this is going to come around the corner. You cannot predict what happens in life. All you're doing is becoming your own fear leader. You are your biggest fear leader. And because you're your biggest fear leader, you're afraid to take action. All you're doing is thinking and overthinking everything that you are supposed to be doing because of fear. Life is going to present you with fear leaders as it is. So why do you want to become the biggest fear leader of them all? I used to be one of those people. I was in jobs ever since I turned 15, 16 years old, working for people, making sure that their establishment is the greatest establishment, going to work with a great attitude, putting forth the best effort, saying to myself, man, if I'm punctual and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, there's no reason why I shouldn't be great. I get a quarter raise here, 50-cent raise there, and I'm saying to myself, oh man, this is what it's all about. I got a little spending money. I'm a teenager, so I don't know any better. All I was doing was programming myself to become a fear leader. Because instead of me saying to myself, well, what is it that I want to do? What is it that I feel as though I want to accomplish? What I can sit back and I can say that it's mine. I kept doing what everybody else wanted me to do. My parents wanted me to go to college. I wasn't feeling college. I tried it out. I was like, this is not for me. So I stopped going. That's when I started to say to myself, it's time for you to start living life on your own terms. But then after I had that thought, I never put no action behind it. So guess what happened? I continued to work for people for the rest of my life. Now, by being a fear leader, what you think I'm going to do when I come across people and have a conversation with them? I'm going to impress my fears upon them. Now all of a sudden, I'm living in a fearful life. and I'm afraid of what may happen next. So because I'm afraid, I'm telling you this is what you should do. And now all of a sudden I'm creating another fear leader. Now all of a sudden this person is like, oh, well, I should do it this way. No. Do what you want to do. Entrepreneurs do what they want to do when they want to do it. When you are a fear leader, when you're the one taking all the risk, that is the only way you're going to get an ROI. The only way. You cannot get a return on your investment living check to check or living month to month or saying to yourself, I start on my dream tomorrow. I start on my dream next week. I start on my dream next month. All you're doing is living your life in a prevent defense. When you're working for somebody and that person is telling you when you should come to work, when you should leave, when you should go on vacation, when you should clock in and out, when you should go and break, when you should spend time with your family, you are living in a prevent defense. And for those of you who don't know what a prevent defense is, a prevent defense in sports, in football, is when you have a cushion. And once you have a cushion, you stop doing what got you to the point that created the cushion. So now all of a sudden, instead of being aggressive like you've been doing all game long, you go into a prevent defense. And in that prevent defense, you know what happens 9 times out of 10? The other team comes back. The other team begins to score rapidly. Now all of a sudden, once the other team begins to score, now they built up their confidence. Now all of a sudden, because they're scoring rapidly, now the confidence that you supposedly had at the beginning of the game, because you went into prevent defense, now all of a sudden, your confidence is shattered. So if you're a fear leader and you sit up and telling other people to be a fear leader, how is it you're supposed to manage to come back from something that you should have been never developing a cushion in the first place? When you work for somebody, that's exactly what you're doing. That's exactly what you're doing. You sitting up here because they're paying you and you thinking that you're making a nice little wage. You are in prevent defense. You can't get ahead that way. All you're doing is developing enough cushion. Sooner or later, something's going to happen. There's going to be a tragedy. So you might as well get ready for it. When that tragedy happens, now all of a sudden that little cushion that you had is gone. Now what are you going to do? Now what are you going to do? Think about it. People ask me all the time, man, ever since you resigned, what are you going to do, man? I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know exactly how I'm going to get there. But what I do know is this. It's time to be aggressive. What I do know is this. I'm not living in prevent defense no more. I'm going on the offensive. I'm putting my life in my own hands. And when I put my life in my own hands, I get to determine an outcome. When you're working for somebody, they're determining your outcome. Whether you want to admit it or not, it's time to talk about the brutal, honest truth. You're living your life on somebody else's term because they're signing your check, and by them signing your check and telling you when you should and should not be there, you're living on their terms. So guess what? Whatever happens to you, you're putting the onus on them. You're not in control of your life. You don't get to dictate what happens. You are a victim, and having that victim mentality is the reason why you're a fear leader. What you should want out of life should be bigger than you. And usually when something is bigger than you, all of a sudden you go that extra mile to make sure it gets done. Me and my son, when we were in the mall today, my son said, Daddy, I want some shoes. I said, okay, let's go get some shoes. Well, Daddy, I want another pair of shoes. Okay, I usually get you 2 pairs of shoes anyway. Get you another pair of shoes. We walked down the mall and down the hallway a little further. Daddy, I want some sprinkled cookies. I know you like sprinkled cookies. Let's go get some sprinkled cookies, Bo. After we go get sprinkled cookies, he looks over there. Daddy, I want to go ice skating. Okay, Bo, let's go ice skating. We get done ice skating. We leaving the mall. Before we leave the mall, Bo glances over there at the store and say, oh, Daddy, guess what? I said, what's up, Bo? You know when your kids, you know when they want something, when they hit you with that little tone, you know your kids, when they hit you, Dad, or Daddy. Daddy, I said, what's up, man? I want a lava lamp. I said, Bo, a lava lamp? Really? What you gonna do with a lava lamp? I put it in my room. I just want it. And before I could tell him no, and before I could sit up here and come up with an excuse, I caught myself. I caught myself because I said, B, you're not working. And you sit up here spending money as if you got a job. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I don't think like I'm not working. My mentality is this. I have a multi-million-dollar business, and I have multi-billion dollars, in my account as we speak. I don't think about anything else. I don't entertain those thoughts. I don't live in scarcity. So guess what? The thoughts that I have, that's what I begin to manifest. My son wants something, I'm finna make sure he gets it. I'm not going to sit up here and tell my son, because I decided to resign, we can't do some of the things that we used to do. No, we're going to continue to live that same lifestyle, because guess what? Now that we're living that lifestyle, I'm going to take it up another notch. I'm going to kick it into another gear, because ever since I started working, my income has increased every year. But guess what? It increased with me working for somebody else. It ain't increased with me doing what I want to do. So if I can put forth that same effort, then multiplied by 10, what you think gonna happen? What you think is about to happen? If y'all seen that old special of Michael Jackson, when Michael Jackson used to go shopping, Mike used to just point at things, point at paintings on the wall. Give me this, give me this, give me this, give me that, give me this. You think Mike was looking at prices? Mike bet on himself. And you're never going to get to that point until you do. But in the meantime, you're just a fear leader. All you're doing is living your life worried about what may happen. And when you continue to go through life worried about what may happen and what may go wrong and what if this doesn't work out, that's exactly what you're manifesting. And that's exactly the life you're living right now, which is check to check. You're never going to get ahead. You're never going to live the lifestyle that you see on TV because you're a fear leader. I don't watch the news. I don't watch the news because nothing positive comes from it. Majority of the stuff that you see on the news, correct me if I'm wrong now, but majority of the stuff that you see on the news is negative. And guess what it's doing? It's a fear leader to you. And all you're doing is consuming all of those negative thoughts. That's all you're doing. And you're reprogramming yourself over and over again to think that way. And by thinking that way, that's how you go out and live your life when you walk out the door. I refuse to live like that. I haven't watched the news in years. I've had to say to myself, that is not something that's conducive to me to get to me where I'm trying to go. So why would I sit up there and entertain that? If you want to be successful and if you want to be great and you want to live life on your own terms, you have to say to yourself, enough of this. Enough is enough. You got to draw the line in the sand. You can't straddle the fence. You cannot straddle the fence. You have to draw the line in the sand and say enough is enough. I'm done being my fear leader. From this point forward, I'm going to be my biggest cheerleader. And once you develop that mindset, guess what happens? You then start putting things into action because you have to apply all of the knowledge that you've gained. You can't gain all this knowledge and read all these different books if you're not going to apply any of the information. You got some people that are walking around here, they're walking encyclopedias. And the reason I said encyclopedias is because that's an old school analogy, but that's exactly what they are. They're walking libraries. They can give you stats on anything you ask them about. But ask them, are they applying any of that information? The answer is no. So you can know everything and anything in this world. All of your great entrepreneurs, they focus on one thing and they master that one thing. Once they begin to branch out, anything else that they need to know, they actually hire people that are masters in that field to do it for them. That's how you go from having a job to an empire or a franchise. That's exactly what you want. You don't want to just have a job. You don't want to just have a house. You want an estate. But if you're cool with just having a house, then be cool with that. Everybody's goals are different. Some people like cars. Some people like automobiles. Some people like watches. Some people like timepieces. It's up to you. But if you really want to live the lifestyle that you keep seeing on TV, And if you really want to say to yourself, I'm too unhappy coming to work or going to work every day knowing that I deserve better, now is the time for you to take that shot. Now is the time for you to draw a line in the sand. Now is the time for you to apply everything that you've learned. Because if you continue to think about it and don't become a doer, that's exactly what you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. And if you're thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it and not doing it, what you think is going to happen when you're 65, 70, 75, and 80? You're going to have a life full of regret. And those same regretful thoughts are going to be in your mind. And you're going to say this to yourself, I should have done this or I should have done that. Why you can't do it? What's stopping you? You're not a tree. Get up and move. If you don't like your situation, move it. Change it. You're not stuck. You're not married to any situation. If something does not bring you the outcome that you deserve, change it. That's called taking life into your own hands and doing exactly what it is that you want to do when you want to do it. I love y'all, man. I am your favorite speaker, Britton Harvest. Hashtag breadcrumbs. Hashtag random acts of kindness, RAK. Hashtag rack motivation. Bo, we're going to travel the world. We're not going to sit up here and read about what's going on in other countries. We're going to be there. And not only are we going to be there, y'all going to look back on these videos and say, you know what? I remember when he used to talk about that. But now it's the talking is done. The thinking is done. Being a fear leader, done. Now it's time to do. I love y'all, man. I'm out.